Yes, Nnamdi Abana has joined us virtually from Abuja. Nnamdi, good morning. A
Good
public affairs
morning.
commentator. A pleasure having you in our program.
Morning, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, right. I'm sure you've been hearing what we've been talking about, particularly the billing system. What's your experience like in Abuja?
Well, we have the prepaid meter, and that's what we're using. It seems they keep on jacking up, the cost.
Yeah.
But we've not had issues of people who don't have meter, within our meters within our premises. So maybe I may not be acquainted with the ups and downs that they face in that regard. However, from the discussion, I think that the metering organizations should be more transparent in their dealings with customers. I was privileged to be among the people that negotiated or that interfaced with such companies when they were about to commence operation in Nigeria. I
Right.
was in Lagos then, and in that stakeholders meeting, all these issues were tabled, and they were not able at that time to give us any cogent answer. At that point, I was there to represent my organization, which was a financial industry. So some of these issues were raised, but they were not able to give us answers. And again, I think they work hand in hand with the power companies that we have in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But what I will say to users is this: Nigerians should be able to utilize the services of the courts. Don't just swallow everything you are given hook, line, and sinker. Learn to interrogate. Some people don't even cross-check their bills to check. Oh, this month I paid this particular amount. Last 2 months I was able to pay this amount. Some don't even check the quantity of power they use within a certain period. So I think we should be more detailed, and where we notice some discrepancies, we should draw their attention. And if they try anything funny, you take it up with them, with the regulatory authority. Drag them to the regulatory authorities, and if possible, drag them to courts. That will make them to sit up.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Nnamdi. In Abuja, thankfully enough, you're where the seat of power is. Congratulations, by the way. We're in Lagos. Ministers will be taking...
Wait, what are you congratulating me for? I don't know what I'm being congratulated for.
You are in Abuja now.
You're close to power.
You're close to power. Yeah. Who knows if you are...
Well, you people are close to money. Lagos is the commercial nerve center of Nigeria.
Right.
So I would rather choose to be closer to money than the seat of power.
Very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ministers will be taken out of offices today. As they do, really, we will want to set an agenda for the Bola Tinubu administration, even though there are feelers that security and economy would most likely be the pivot of this administration.
Security and what?
And economy.
Economy.
Of course, the two major challenges plaguing the country at the moment, I'll say security and the economy. At this point, the economy has been crippled. You know, the removal of the fuel subsidy has affected a lot of people. Even here in Abuja, lots of people you hardly see, cars on the roads as we used to see it before.
Really?
There is hyperinflation. If you get to the market, if you try to buy certain commodities, you will observe that the prices are, they've quadrupled. So I don't think that the removal of fuel subsidy is right. I've been kicking against this from day one. I've been kicking against it, even when during the electioneering campaign, that certain politicians were, campaigning based on fuel subsidies. I was of the opinion that subsidy shouldn't go, irrespective of who the political candidate is, whether it is Labour Party or APC or PDP. Because if you don't subsidize, Nigerians will not be able to afford the effects. Let me put it that way: the effects of the cost of fuel, which we are experiencing now. Tinubu came in, and in his inaugural speech, he declared that subsidy is gone. And that was a fundamental mistake, was a fundamental error. You don't announce such sensitive policies on your first day in office, swearing in, not even first day, swearing in the day he was sworn in. And that really affected the whole economy. We saw how the price of petrol was jacked up and from what's up. And right now we are hearing that, we heard that petrol is meant to sell for over 1,000 naira, but that the government seems to be retracing its steps by going back to subsidy. The question is, to what end? To what end? What that simply shows is that he never had a clear-cut plan on how to manage the economy of the country. Some have argued, oh, we have a certain cabal profiting from the oil sector. If some cabals are profiting from the oil sector, that shouldn't lead to the removal of subsidy. Get rid of the cabals.
Right, and you
Get
know
them, capture them, try them, and let them go to jail. Let them face the consequences of their action. It's sad that in Nigeria, people don't face the consequences of their action.
Yeah.
I heard that those class of people were telling the ruling class that they are tired of the proceeds that they are getting from the racketeering that is going on in the oil sector, that the government should just remove the subsidy, that they are fine now. And the president came out to tell us about these cabals. The question I'm asking is, since these cabals have been able to identify themselves, why can't they be apprehended? Why is it that the president lacks the political will to apprehend such people? And because of that, subsidy has been removed. Lots of Nigerians are suffering. Inflation is very high. And unfortunately, Nigerians, sought to depend on the labor union. But the labor union seems to be after their pockets. The protest shouldn't be about increase in wages. The protest should actually be hinged on the reversal. Let them reverse the pump price of petroleum to what it used to be. The subsidy regime should continue. Even if they're going to remove the subsidy, it should be disjointed. We call it disjointed incrementalism. You gradually, increase it. Then you monitor the effects on the masses. But this time around, everybody is bearing the brunt. I mean, it is not right. The whole economy has been crippled. NLC is not doing anything about it. They are being selfish about it. Some have said that, NLC is playing, that they are trying to be diplomatic because the candidate of the Labour Party also promised to remove subsidy. But they can see that it is not working. It's not working. So when something is not working, you go back to the drawing board and retrace your steps. So this is not working for Nigeria at the moment. And the government needs to make a change immediately.
All right.
Okay, so with all of these things we said, while we're still around these things happening in Abuja, I also found out that the news says that Nigeria will lost money in the month of July because our production reduced by 4 million barrels. By 4 million barrels. and that cost a loss for us of about 24 billion naira. A lot of money that was lost for big, and all they've said practically is about the oil theft and the bunkering and every other thing. Can we, for once, when these things happen like this was the month of July, and stats have said that, but we have not even gone into the month of August. But yet, we have our security apparatus, we have every other thing happening around there. Can we, for once, just settle down and handle the issues with our oil sector? Knowing also that the president has chosen to follow his predecessor to continue to be the Minister for Petroleum. How can he?
The oil sector has been politicized. It has been greatly politicized. I made mention here is the lack of political will. The president receives security reports.
Yes.
He cannot feign to be ignorant of those who are perpetrating this crime and those who are profiting from this crime. The president knows them, and he should be able to apprehend them if he wants to. The other day, a Navy vessel was apprehended by a private security outfit. What happened? One of the Navy chiefs came out on national television to deny, but they were caught red-handed. Up till today, the case has died a natural death. Nothing happened to them. So that is what I'm saying. The lack of political will is also a challenge. Then, apart from what you just mentioned, the president said he wanted to save a lot of money to be able to execute projects from the proceeds of the fuel subsidy removal.
Yes.
Members of the legislature, they are talking about big jeeps, V8 jeeps, V8 jeeps.
Bulletproof.
We're in an era where petrol is expensive.
Yeah.
All the ministers are going to get brand new jeeps too. So, on their own part, how are they cutting the cost of governance? You cannot tell the masses to tighten their belts while we are sewing brand new abada on a monthly basis because we are changing in size. It's a bundle of contradiction. So there are lots of contradictions in the management of the Nigerian economy. I remember the United States during the global financial meltdown, when the leaders were telling the people, you need to cut costs, we are going to reduce this. The president himself reduced his allowances, his salary, and all the things surrounding the paraphernalia of office. That's sincerity of purpose. But you cannot come out and be telling the masses to tighten their belts, to manage, to try to understand. But at the same time, you are living in I'm trying to get the right adjective to use.
Opulence.
They are not creating the impression that Nigeria is in an economic quagmire. No, that is not what they are communicating. Katakpabio the other day talking about when they concluded with the screening of the ministerial appointees. He talked about some tokens. Those tokens turned out to be millions of naira. This is what we are talking about. And this is the legislature that is meant to act as a check to the executive. Unfortunately, we do not have separation of powers in Nigeria anymore. We have fusion of power. We cannot tell the difference between the executive and the legislature. We can't draw a distinction between both institutions, which is quite unfortunate.
Okay.
And this is the reason why some of these problems may persist.
All right.
Nnamdi, while you are still searching for the adjective, we hope that you will find the adjective though in your pursuit. But let me ask you
It's disturbing.
this.
It's really disturbing.
I actually wanted to, ask him just a
please
follow-up
do.
question in what he's been talking about. This government has told us already what they want to, focus on, which is economy and security. I don't know why education is left out, but if you look at the level of, education that those in power, as we speak, have for occupying the office that they are, that they are occupying. We've seen past over the years where even the presidency just have, primary school certificate. I mean, that's all it takes to aspire for a particular office. So some people are saying we cannot really blame them because they don't really have, the level of education that is required to be able to think on how to bring solutions to these issues that we're seeing. And I just wanted you to, in maybe your final thoughts before Dikin asks this question, how would you rate this particular administration and the place it has put education in its, achieving its goal for this period of time?
Well, the administration is less than 100 days,
Right.
and the swearing in of ministers is going to happen today. To be fair with the administration, they are yet to hit the ground running. That is, I'm talking about the ministers that are going to preside over the various ministries. But apart from that, it's really funny what we are seeing in the country, the class of people that are ruling or that are presiding over the nation. We've had successive leaders who don't have the requisite qualifications to rule this country. This is a country that boasts of citizens with lots of degrees, doctoral degrees. I'm talking about abroad in the United States of America. Nigerians are the most educated.
Right.
Here in Nigeria, we have lots of intellectuals, but unfortunately, who are the people that are in power? We have primary school graduates. Some of them can't even present their certificates. So that is another contradiction, that we are being led by mediocres, people who cannot come out openly to defend their certificates. We see them coming up with certificates that have fictitious names. We saw that controversy in the last administration. We are witnessing the same thing in this dispensation. Our hope, or the hope of many, is that the tribunal should be able to dispassionately uphold justice. And let's see if there will be a change of administration through the tribunals. If that should happen, then we can actually see a semblance of what leadership should be. Because I mean, Nigeria is blessed. Nigeria should be led by experts.
Nnamdi, just a second.
But I said, you should interrupt me. I expected you to interrupt me when I mentioned that. Don't tell me you're predictable now. Don't tell me you're predictable.
I'm actually interrupting you because a colleague of ours has actually called in, and that's why I'm interrupting you.
Right.
So I'm not exactly predictable. Christoph, it's a pleasure having you this morning. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
Hi,
You're doing a fantastic job so far.
Thank you, sir.
And I also like the fact that our guest is very, very animated this morning. I am one of those people that over time have maintained that the only benefits that Nigerians are getting from governance is fuel subsidy. And we should start from there. Any government who is true to seeking solutions should go back to status quo, because that is why we're even having this conversation in the first place.
Yeah.
You see, one important part of the conversation we have failed to amplify is the fact that the subsidy regiment was supposed to end in June, but it started in May, immediately after the declaration. The government was supposed to start after June because provision was made up until the end of June. Nobody is even having that conversation. So what happened to the monies allocated for June? Nobody has said anything about that. I think in tandem with what our guest has been saying, let's go back to status quo and have conversations from that point. Because, Dikin, you've always mentioned maintain that these guys are asking us to tie our belts.
Yeah.
But they have shown so much extravagance. They are now sending prayers through email boxes.
Right.
I'm actually looking forward to some prayers in that direction too in my email box. But they are making a mockery of Nigerians. That's something that Nigerians must rise up to. We cannot sit down, fold our hands, and watch these people make a mockery and a fool of us every time. And this has gone on unabated for too long. So it's time for us to start looking at asking the right questions. It's time for us to start questioning what this government is about in the first place. NLC is looking for what will benefit themselves. We've always maintained that too. So at this point in time, let's go back to status quo and start the conversations from there. Otherwise, it will not just be business as usual. It will be business race to power 2.0. So Nigerians will be the ones that will be beat at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Christopher.
So Nnamdi, you can raise the discussion to 2.0.
It started with the word status quo. The word status quo actually means the mess that we are in right now.
Amazing.
Anyway, he made some vital points, but I would like to say this. The president, the moment you are sworn in as the president of a country, nobody's looking at what the past administration did. Everybody's looking up to you as the leader to show direction. Everybody's looking up to you to provide solution. So there is no room for blame game. If your predecessor actually set the process in motion, fixed a date when it was meant to take place, you, as the new political leader, while you were campaigning, you should have dotted all your I's, crossed all your T's. You should have done all your independent analysis. In fact, at the inauguration, he had the opportunity to say, yes, I've heard what my predecessor did. He said he has done this. He has set in motion processes to remove subsidy, but I don't agree with that ideology. We revert to what it used to be. So there shouldn't be any room for blame game.
Yeah.
Once you are made a leader, it's a call to responsibility. You take up that responsibility, discharge it effectively, and produce outstanding and remarkable results from it. Leadership is not sweet potato.
True.
Leadership has to do with challenges, and your ability to crack those challenges is what makes you an effective leader. So far, the president has been dilly-dallying and equivocating. It seems he doesn't have a clear-cut strategy on how to bring Nigeria out of this quagmire. And that is what we are saying. That is what they're saying. You don't just jump on your predecessor's agenda and then mess up the nation only for you to return to your vomit like a dog. It's unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate. Now, I'm hearing that the federal government is reverting to subsidize the price of petrol. So it's just funny. Look at the ministerial list that they just announced. The screening was done, portfolios were assigned. By this morning, 3 changes has been made. Reassignment of portfolios. So is it that from inception he didn't know how to put square pegs in square holes, and round, square pegs in square holes? Yes. Why all this back and forth? So I think that the president really needs to settle down, and he needs to have a master plan for this country. So far, from what I'm seeing, he's dilly-dallying and equivocating.
Okay. I probably will ask you 2 questions. The very first one is, I do agree with you, and I said it on this program, that there have been too many flip-flops with this administration.
Yeah.
And while, yes, people can say that we can be very kind to this administration, I'll say that the president himself did say it will hit the ground running from day one. And if indeed it meant hitting the ground running from day one, it should have done all of those things. Number one is, Nnamdi, shouldn't, while the ministers were being screened, shouldn't portfolios have been assigned to them so that the ministers, so that the senators would have known the questions to ask each of the ministers designate then? That's the first question. Number two, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is taking a leap from President Buhari. He's taking over the Ministry of Petroleum. At least as of today, he has not named any of the 45 ministers as to take charge of that ministry. And I have a very strong feeling that the other three who are on the reserve, none of them will take over that ministry. Is he on the right path? And what is this blue economy, which is also another ministry?
No. Blue economy has to do with the sea and
Marine.
How do I put it? The resources in the sea. That's what he meant by blue economy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, let me tackle the issue of the petroleum ministry. You know, they said that the law of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and getting the same outcome. And this has been what successive Nigerian leaders have been doing. Buhari did it. Now Tinubu is doing it again. There is this trust deficit when it comes to assigning the portfolio of the Minister of Petroleum to a Nigerian to preside over or to administer, which I think it's a flaw on the part of the leadership of this country. You must be able to repose trust on those that you have appointed, irrespective of the office that you are assigning to them. Provided that you have appointed the best hand to turn around that sector. Tinubu doesn't have the competence, the capacity, or the capability to handle the petroleum industry. And we saw how Buhari kept fumbling and wobbling during his administration. This time around, that same mistake is being repeated. What stops the president from appointing a petroleum minister and then monitoring what the minister is doing?
Yeah.
When it is apparent that the minister is not doing well.
A second,
Yeah.
please. Abraham has joined us. Abraham, good morning.
Good morning, sir, and good morning,
Good morning.
everybody over there.
Good morning.
Okay.
You know, one thing about Nigeria, we like talking too much. We are talking. Speaking all the grammar, speaking all talking from Monday. At the end, nothing happens. Buhari told us they are going to give us refineries, about 6 refineries. For 8 years, no one happened. They tell us they're going to repair our refineries, the one we had before, that we are managing before what is happening. Till now, it has not worked. And now people have entered again. We scam. They use scam to win the election. Buhari close border that we are going to eat our local rice. We are going to produce our rice in Nigeria. Rice jump from 9,000 to 20,000. Nobody is saying anything. You know, we like as believing our leaders. Yes, but it's good to believe. But I think it's more than all this English you are speaking, please. It's more in speaking English. We should stand up ourselves and decide the kind of leadership we want to see in Nigeria. This system of government is not working. Presidential system of government is not working in Nigeria. It's not working at all. It's not working. It's taking us backward. Let's go to our former system of government. This system is not working. So, you know, we are saying, talking about education, the president that announced the book is not a professor. A mentioned. Go and see what's happening now in what we are hearing today and yesterday. It's a Democrat. It's not about education, it's not about degree, not about anything. It's about the people. The system is not working. This system is not working. I heard yesterday that somebody mentioned Dangote. of borrowing $1 billion from a mercenary at the rate of 150 naira, 200 naira. And maybe after borrowing the money, borrowing $1 billion, and be from what at the rate of 100 naira, 150, and be telling your price of maybe 600 naira. It's quite here that Dangote made a profit of 320 billion in a day. I was like, what
we may not
are
be
you
able
doing
to
it? But look at what they are saying. So it's not about technocrats, it's not about who, it's about we Nigerians. So let's change the system. At least this state,
Abraham.
can build a refinery on their own.
Abraham.
They can build a refinery on their own.
I know how you feel. I know how you feel, and I know how you feel. But while we're contributing, we should be kind enough when we do speak. There should be things that are proven.
Right.
Please, it's very, very important. Well, thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you so much. Nnamdi.
Thank you, sir.
He took loans. I don't think any Nigeria will be privileged to collect that amount of loan. And secondly, I saw a publication yesterday that charges has been brought against him. So he should go to court and sort it out. I don't want to go into details.
Okay.
But what the young man said, there is an element of truth in what he said.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, let's
Final. Just
finally.
okay. Just finally, I understand everything. One thing, just a final word, a final thought on the matter. Can we really truly get to the point where we would not have too much power at the center, but rather we could go to our geopolitical zones and really strengthen the areas? Because in all dimensions, whether the ministers are coming in or not, the government will function from its root. That is, we're talking about from the local down to the federal.
Yeah.
If we can strengthen these things, is it possible for us to get to see it? And we know we're praying for the leaders. Our pastor told us the fact was to pray. Can that be seen as a fact? Can we work with it? New dimensions out of this quagmire.
Yeah, there is a place for prayer. Prayer is fundamental because prayer will give the nation the requisite moral will to do the right thing.
True.
One of the right things that we should do as a nation is to have a national conference. I don't want to say sovereign national conference because the sovereign in the national conference has become a subject of controversy. So let's say a national where we will table everything. Nigeria is a plural society.
Yeah.
We are not a homogeneous, we are a heterogeneous society and not a homogeneous society. So I believe in the power of decentralization. Some may call it regionalism. That will work, it will work for us. Yes. In essence, what is going to happen is that every will be to a large extent independent politically and economically. Yeah. Whatever they generate, they will send some portion to the federal government as royalties. Okay. So it's not a situation where states are expecting helps and handouts from the center. Yeah. Rather, the states will be the ones contributing to the federal government. What this is going to do is that it's going to make the states productive. It has been said that necessity is the mother of invention. True. By the time that restructuring is done, states will be able to identify their potentials, they will be able to explore their potentials, they will be able to exploit their potentials, and then pay royalties to the federal government. And what this is going to do is that it's going to revolutionize the economy of Nigeria. We're going to have many people gainfully employed. We're going to have a private sector-driven economy. And I mean, all these challenges and all these quests to get to the center and collect this or that will be gone. Yeah. So I agree that we should decentralize. We should go for what some people have termed true federalism.